Okay, I think so. So we'll continue from where we left off. Some more, I think, basic theory part, understanding part we have done. Now we are going to do more of applications of the same. So basically only two things: heat conduction rate equation and equivalent electric circuit. Let's say the ring is consisting of two parts. So there's a ring here and it has two parts here. One part is what is given here, ABD and ACB. So one part, of course, this is one part and this is other part here. And they have same conductivity K and it carries amount of heat H. So this part is maintained at temperature T1 and this is maintained at temperature T2. So how is the heat flow taking place? Some heat flow rate is moved across this path here and some heat flow rate across this path here, H2. And of course it will go out. It is from here, it is coming in and going out. Right, so that's what is happening. What we need to do here, okay. If ADB part is now replaced with another metal, keeping T1 and T2 same. So this temperature is not changed. Which part is removed? ADB. This part removed. And if heat carried increases to 2H, so earlier total heat H1 plus H2 was H here, now it becomes 2H here. So what must be the conductivity of ADB part? Given that ACB by ADB is 3. So compared to this length is 3 times. So okay, so if one way of solving this question, and I think that's a maybe easier way, is to use as equivalent current electricity circuit, thermal resistance. So initial, this temperature is T1 and T2, which is not changing. So basically what you're saying here, potential is remaining same. Initially some current is flowing. Current is nothing but net heat flow rate. That current is H1. And it is these two are connected in parallel because they're connected across equal temperature difference. And if I take this part as resistance, R resistance is proportional to length here. And this length is compared to this length is 3 times. So compared to this thermal resistance is 3 times. So if this is R, this is 3R. So this is how the initial circuit is. Okay, now let's solve this one. So electrical circuit, this is the initial electrical circuit. So initially, if I take R is equal to this length ABD by KA, other one becomes 3R. Now, what is R equivalent here? R equivalent is equal to 3R by 4. Or so current will be equal to what is the initial current? So initial current, this is. So this is the initial equivalent resistance. What has to happen with same potential if the current has to become double? If current has to become double very easily with little understanding of current electricity, equivalent resistance must become half. That's what has to happen. So current, because we notice here temperatures are not changing, so equivalent resistance has become to half. So by replacing R with R dash, that's what we have to do here. So if we have the 3R and R dash connected in parallel, the equivalent resistance should become half of initial resistance. I can easily calculate value of R dash here. And once I have value of R dash, I can find out why the resistance is decreased. The resistance is decreased because of thermal conductivity K. Once I have R dash here, I can find the value of K also. So all of you can try solve. So I will not solve most of the question. Now we'll go through, we'll do more number of questions. So we'll give an idea how to solve. And all of you must finish solving such questions. Next question is something like this. One end of copper rod of length of 1 meter and area of cross section is given. Immersed in steam at 100 degrees centigrade. So this is steam at 100 degrees centigrade. Higher end, and other end is ice at 0 degrees centigrade. So whenever it is not mentioned also, suppose 100 degree was not mentioned, unless there is a clear indication it could be at higher degree, 100 degree, we always assume that this is 100 degree, and where ice is mentioned, it is 0 degree, unless mentioned otherwise. So that's an easy assumption we can make. Sometimes those questions are not clear. If coefficient of thermal conductivity is given, it is given in CGS units. Latent heat of ice is given. And so what we need to find, what is the amount of ice that will melt in 1 minute? So first of all, we should be clear, we are talking about steady state. In steady state, heat is being transferred from this end. It is flowing through, heat is being taken away from heat source. And that amount of heat, whatever heat is taken away in unit time, same is the heat flow rate across the rod, and that heat is being transferred to ice here. So there's a loss of heat here, and there's a gain of heat here. And what would happen? What would be loss of heat? In a steady rate of transfer heat remain constant at temperature either ends are not changing. In this case, heat flow rate will remain constant. How long it will remain constant? Until either ice is completely melts or steam condenses. Then only temperature will change, and then only heat flow rate will change. So heat flow rate, so what is the heat flowing in time delta T? We can write. So basically, whenever we talk about what is the quantum of ice melt, we have to, whenever we talk about melting phase change, we have to equate basically what has to come to our mind. This question also involves, we have to equate delta Q to ml. That's the kind of equation. So how do we form that equation? Heat flow in time delta T will be equal to heat flow rate into delta T. I can substitute, I can find heat flow rate. So heat flow rate is equal to heat lost by steam chamber. If I equate, I can write delta ms into LE. What is LE here? Heat lost by steam chamber. What is this steam lost? That's why the heat flow is possible. And what is delta ms here? Delta ms is mass of steam that will condense in time delta T. Or if I write delta m by delta T, this gives a rate at which the steam will condense. And this also will be equal to heat gain by ice chamber. In delta T, this heat, this gain, it will result in some amount of mass of ice which will melt, undergo phase change. I'm simply using delta Q is equal to ml equation. So what does delta mi indicate? Mass of ice that will melt in time delta T. So this equation, and from there you can easily find using this equation, delta mi by delta T is rate of melting of ice. Similar way, if the question was to find rate at which steam will condense, you could have found that also. You could have written as, and you can easily notice here, in rate of melting of ice will be greater when we get this delta mi will be greater than delta ms because LF is smaller. LF is latent heat of fusion is 80. This is 540. So comparatively less amount of rate of condensation of steam will be lower by a factor of 540 by 80 compared to less rate of melting of ice. But we can easily form the equation. Okay, so this is also important point. Basically, with heat flow rate in time delta T, we equate it to rate at which something melts. So the thermocol question, and I think some of you would have noticed earlier these days are not very popular. It's a kind of box, ice box. It is made of this. So it has 6 surfaces, like any box here. And this can be used to store food, or it can also be used to store ice. So many places still used. So we keep ice inside the box, cover it up. So what is given here? A cubicle by side is 30 centimeter and thickness is 1 centimeter. So relative, what you notice, thickness is much smaller compared to the length dimension. This is T. And typically this will be how it will be given here. If at all questions are given like this. So compared to any length dimension, thickness is very small. And it has certain significance. We'll come to that later. Ice box has side of 30 centimeter, thickness 1 centimeter. If 4 kg of ice is put in the box, estimate the ice remaining after 6 hours. So you have put 6 kg of ice. They're not mentioned at what temperature. If no other information is given, you have to assume this ice is at 0 degrees centigrade. So we have 4 kg of ice at 0 degrees centigrade. If I open the box after 6 hours, what would happen? I may find complete thing turned into water. It may have mix of water and ice. Here it is directly given here. The question clearly indicates it is implied that entire ice is not melt. So we have to find what is the amount of ice remaining after 6 hours. Outside temperature is 45. And so first of the thermal conductivity is given. So thermal conductivity also, thermocol is given. So what we need to understand here, let's see, understand why would the ice melt here. Inner surface of the box, all parts of inner surface of the box, it will be at a temperature of 0 degrees centigrade. You have to understand all surfaces, all 6 surfaces will be at 0 degree and all outer surfaces will be at 45 degree. Hence, direction of heat flow will be perpendicular to surface along the thickness. So how would the heat flow along this surface? This is how the heat will flow from inside. The heat flow will from outside to inside. And all surfaces will flow like this. So if apply this equation, and second thing, if thickness of air is small, Actually, inner surface area is slightly smaller compared to outer surface area, which you can easily arrive at. But in such cases, thickness is small. I can assume inner surface area equal to outer surface area. So it is means that both areas are equal. The area across which heat flows equal to 6 square surfaces. If it is a cubical box, this is the area across which heat is flowing. I hope this is important point to understand. The heat flows, I could have taken only one surface. One surface, one side is ice, other side is atmosphere, second surface, third surface, fourth surface. So everywhere. So if I write an equation of L term here, in heat flow rate, I use term L. L indicates length across which heat is flowing. And in this case, L will be thickness of the box, shortest distance between higher temperature and lower temperature. The length across which it flows is this, area is this. So understanding of area and length is important. Rest all is simple. Now we can use heat transfer in 6 hours is equal to heat gain by ice. What is my equation? K into delta theta by L into delta T. See that every term is very easy here. K term is given, area is understood here, 6 times the surface area, and length is equal to thickness, and time is given as 6 hours. I have to choose unit accordingly. If I use this kind of unit, if K term. Where is the K term? This is given in joules, meter, and second. It is given in SI unit. So better to substitute everything in SI unit. And it is given in joules per second per meter. And so delta T also in meter, mass also in kg. And this will give you the mass of ice which will undergo phase change. We can easily calculate delta F. Okay. Next question is something like this. A metal rod of length 10x has one end in ice at 0 degree and other end is water at 100 degree. And there's a point P on the rod which is maintained at 400 degree. And it is found that equal amount of water and ice evaporates and melts per unit time. And later it is given. So first what we need to do, we need to understand here, metal rod AB. So we can draw a rod of length AB. So this metal rod AB here, I have just drawn the figure. So this metal rod AB here, and it has a length of 10x. I just represented all through in the form of figure. And A is in ice here. Sorry, I've written another way around. A is in ice here, and B is in water at 100 degrees centigrade. There's a point P here, which is maintained at 400 degrees centigrade. So this point is somehow heated, and this is maintained at 400 degrees. It is found that equal amount of water evaporates. And what else is given here? And if the point P has a distance Lx from end A, this distance is Lx, we need to find the value of this L here. And total distance is Lx. So this also is actually not a very difficult question. All we need to do here, in this case, how would the heat flow? This is 100 degree, this is 0 degree, this is 400 degree. So heat will flow from P to this direction. H1 is the heat flow rate. From here to here is also H2 is the heat flow rate. And based on H2 flow rate, H2 into delta T, we can find out rate at which the ice will melt, rate at which steam will condense. And what is given here, the rate of condensation or rate of melting of ice are equal. So we just need to write H1 and H2 term, heat gain by H2 chamber. So how do I write? Delta Mi into Lf is equal to H2. And what is H2 equal to? Ka delta theta by length. So for here, the temperature difference is 400 by length Lx. That is equal to delta Mi Lf. I hope you all are clear. Sorry, I've just missed one term. You should add delta T here. In time delta T, unless I assume the delta M represents heat flow mass of ice which will melt in 1 second. I can also assume delta T is equal to 1. Then I don't write delta T, but in that case I need to understand delta Mi indicates the rate of melting of ice. Similarly, I have second equation. So I am assuming this is mass rate at which. What is this term here? Heat gain by not water, heat gain by water. So water is at 100 degree. What is the heat it gains? It gains heat at the rate of H1. What is H1 equal to? Ka, temperature difference 300, and length is 10 minus L into X. Okay, so this is the term here. So from here, if basically what I do, equate delta Me and delta Mi are equal. substitute these values, I can easily find only one known, only unknown, which is L, which can be found for me. Okay, so that is something all of you can try and solve. I'll just tell one more variation of the question. This question can be given a slightly different form. What way it can be given? See, point P is not given. What is given here? Point P is connected to another rod here. And this rod has a K value touching infinity. Extremely conducting rod. So what does an extreme conducting rod mean? And other end of the rod is connected to a furnace which is at 400 degree centigrade. So what does K is equal to K tending to infinity imply? See, when I just look at the equation, so whenever we talk of highly conducting word, in this question they are not used, but it may come. What does highly conducting rod mean? Let's look at the equation also. Heat flow rate H is equal to Ka delta theta by delta L. So if this tends to infinity, what will happen? This will tend to 0. This will be close to 0. It means anything which is highly conducting will always remain at same temperature. Temperature difference cannot exist. So if we have highly conducting rod, if this is 400 degrees centigrade, even this point also will be 400 degrees centigrade for any amount of heat flow rate. So that's what highly conducting means. Highly conducting object, all through the object, temperature has to remain same. So whatever heat is given, so it is something like this. So if you have a long rod, see, typically if I heat the rod here at one end, this temperature becomes higher, this becomes lower. But if it is K is extremely high, as soon as we add certain heat at one end, that heat gets distributed all through the rod almost instantaneously. So it will always acquires, at any instance of time, it will always have the same temperature. Okay, next question is something like ice freezing. This is something we observe in the lakes and all also. We would have come across lakes gets frozen, and so ice start freezing in the lake with water at 0 degrees. So what is given here? Make some assumption here. So for this ice layer here, outside atmosphere is minus 10 degrees centigrade. This water is at 0 degrees centigrade, and there's some thickness of ice here. This is ice layer we notice here. And if such kind of system, what will happen? If there's a temperature difference, because of temperature difference, heat flow will take place, and heat flow rate, which will act as a medium for heat flow rate, heat flow will take place through the ice layer. How is the heat flowing? Heat is flowing in this fashion. You have to draw heat flow rate. This is how the heat flow will take place. The heat will flow through ice layer, and ice layer is the medium here. And if this means basically whatever water at 0 degree is in contact with the ice layer here, it will lose heat. And what will happen if ice at 0 degree lose heat? It will turn, sorry, if water at 0 degree loses heat, it will turn into ice. So more layer of ice formation will take place. This is a phenomenon. If outside temperature is lower than 0 degree centigrade, even if this ice layer thickness here, more and more ice will form. So what are the key points here? I'll quickly run through some of the important points. And so temperature difference across the layer of ice will remain constant. So even if the layer of thickness changes, this will remain 0, this will remain as minus 10. And that's one. And this is something very easy to understand. Heat transfer will take place from water level adjacent to ice layer through the ice slab to the atmosphere. That's how I drawn. That's how the heat transfer is taking place. As the layer of lake water adjacent to ice loses heat energy, it will solidify, thus increasing the thickness of ice. So where would ice formation will take place? Just adjacent to thickness. So this layer will lose heat and will turn into ice. With passage of time, ice thickness will grow, and hence the heat flow will decrease. So initially one will see the heat flow is taking through ice layer. Greater the thickness is, lesser is the temperature gradient, and hence lesser is the heat flow rate, and slower will be the rate of increase of ice layer. So temperature ice varies from linearly across the thickness. Another thing also, this also will act like anything in steady state since the temperature is constant, and it is happening slowly. So during this phase also, the temperature vary linearly across thickness. So, and for a small iteration dt, So we analyze what happens over a small time dt. Why you are taking a small time interval? The thickness is not constant. But if I assume time interval to be small, I can assume thickness to be constant at A. So what is thickness of ice? A. So let's assume what happens in time dt. Of course, some heat transfer will take place from here. If heat transfer gets take place from a layer of water which is 0 degree, it will lead to some mass getting solidified. If some mass gets solidified, it will lead to change in thickness of ice. Let's say how we form the equation. So let's try this very simple forming equation. Let's take an area A. So this is a big layer, so we focus on area A. Which area? We take this area of cross section. If you look from the top, maybe we can take a square area of area A. We focus only on that layer of ice. Heat transfer in time dt is equal to heat loss by water, and heat loss by water will equal to delta M into LF. That's the equation. This is a heat transfer is equal to heat loss delta M into LF. What does delta M indicate? Delta M, dm, sorry, I could have done dm only. Dm by dt indicates rate at which mass is getting transferred, but I have taken dm here. And what is delta M here? Mass of water which is solidified in time delta t. But here I need thickness of ice getting formed here. The mass also I'll write in terms of thickness. So where is this happening? It is happening over an area of A. So this much mass is getting solidified. So what is the thickness it will form? That we convert into mass into thickness. How do we convert? So mass is equal to rho into area cross section A into dA. dA is the thickness of layer which is getting formed. So once I form this equation dA, yes, that's my equation. Sorry, so if I write as dA only, okay, sorry, this also take as A here. What is L here? L is thickness. So when I write this equation, the right hand side of the equation becomes something like this. Rho into A into dA into LF. dA into LF. No. So what is the equation? So this term is A, and right hand side will become equal to rho into A into dA into LF. So what you find, this becomes like a equation. A is variable, and in time we can calculate. For different values of time, we can calculate what the thickness will be. So very easy, and the rest all is simple. I think you can easily write here. So that's the equation I get here, rho dA. And what we find, area is the thickness A. I start from 0. If I integrate from 0 to A, if I integrate from A equal to 0 to A, it means it will give me the time taken for thickness of ice layer to from 0 to A, how much time it takes. It comes equal to root of T. What does root of T means? So if it takes a 1 hour to form an ice layer of thickness of 1 centimeter, to form an ice layer of 2 centimeter, how much time it will take? 4 hours. Time taken is proportional to square of the thickness. So first centimeter has taken 1 hour, second centimeter has taken 3 hours. That's what it means. So this is something either you don't need to memorize, but if you can keep this in mind. So T is, or we can say time taken for thickness of layer A to form, time is proportional to square of. So some question very easily can answer this. Okay, some more variation of the same. So in this case, it shows a spherical shell of inner radius R1 here. This is spherical shell. So we have drawn in 2 dimension, but you have to keep in mind this is 3-dimensional thing. Outer radius is R2. And shell is made of material of thermal conductivity K. So this is shell here shown in gray color. Temperature inner surface is T1, entire surface is T1, and outer surface temperature is T2, may be exposed to atmosphere. What is the total heat flow rate through the shell? How would the heat flow if I assume that T1 is greater than T2? The direction is not so relevant, but we can always assume if T1 is equal to T2, heat will flow out in the radial direction. This is how the heat flow will take place. Everywhere heat will flow out in the radial direction. It will flow from lower surface, higher temperature to lower temperature along the shortest path and will be radial direction. So this is something. So if this is so how do we calculate area? So area of surface at temperature T1 is actually equal to 4 pi R1 square. area of the surface which is temperature T2 is equal to 4 pi into R2 square. So what I notice, area at different temperatures are varying. So as we move along, as heat is flowing, it is flowing through a progressively increasing area. Area through which heat flow rate takes place is not constant. So what we need to do here, so direction of key points here are key steps. Direction of heat flow is radial. As the distance increases, area of cross section also across the heat flow increases. So in order to have constant area, imagine it to be composed of several concentric spherical shells. And all spherical shells will have same heat flow rate. Basically, there's no accumulation of heat anywhere. So temperature difference, so if I take several spherical shell, the total temperature difference will be equal to sum of temperature difference across all the shells. We add up temperature difference, and thus the will be equal to T1 minus T2. So how do I write equation? Let's take an imaginary shell. Imaginary shell we have taken of radius r here, and outer radius r plus dr. So what is the heat flow rate? K into area here. I hope all are understood. All points on the inner radius will be at the same temperature. So what is the locus of point at the same temperature? Locus of point is a spherical shell. That's why I've taken a spherical shell. And what does dt indicate? Temperature difference across the inner surface and outer surface. And distance dl is the distance across which heat is flowing. That becomes a dr here. So that's the equation here. So what are the terms which are varying? dt and dr. And so if I integrate, I take dt term on one side. If I integrate dt and dr, so what are the terms given here? We are given here at R1, the temperature is T1, and at a R value of R2, temperature is T2. So when I integrate, I get T2 minus T1, and from very easy integration, and it gives you value of H here. And something similar which happens in case of current electricity also. It's exactly same thing where current flows from inner surface to outer surface, exactly same thing. So you have to keep in mind, we'll not repeat again in current electricity, similar way you can solve. And okay, one more variation I can think of. This is when it is a spherical shell. It could be a cylindrical hollow cylinder also, long hollow cylinder. So if it is a long hollow cylinder, something like this. If it is a long hollow cylinder, question like this, and how would the heat flow rate take place? How would the heat flow? Again, here also, if you look from the top, heat will flow in the radial direction. I can calculate heat flow through a unit length. Why we are taking it through a unit length, or why we are taking a long one? If it is not long, we are ignoring the end effect. So between the central part, the heat will flow perfectly in the radial direction, and we can calculate the heat flow rate here. Here also area at a distance r. Important point was what are the area at a distance r? Here also area at a distance r will be equal to 2 pi r into L. L is equal to 1 if we take. That's the area through which heat flow will take place. So that also we can easily solve. Okay. So that's all I think as far as heat flow conduction is concerned. So I will not start radiation today. So let's see any part which is not clear. I'll spend another 10 minutes to go through the same so that all well understood.